thanks everyone for joining us. We will be recording this webinar for those that couldn't make it. I see Helen, you raised your hand. Uh, if you have any questions or a comment during the webinar, please click on that chat box. You'll find it either at the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on your what software you're using. And then you can put any questions in there, and then we'll address them either, at the very latest at the Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. This shouldn't take us more than 35 minutes to get through today. So yeah, so as I say, I see your raised hand there, Ellen. Maybe that's just maybe it's just a I don't know. Maybe you just accidentally pressed a button to raise your hand.
It's a high
So we're
five.
just, should we be able to see everyone and can you hear us? We cannot hear you. So all of our participants on our webinars are by default muted. But so you can communicate with Joseph and myself by typing in the chat box. So yeah, you can't see me. This isn't a web meeting. We've tried that in the past. It doesn't work. Yeah. So this is a one-way thing. So but yeah, we are definitely here to answer questions. So please, by all means, if you do have questions, type something in the chat box where you've been typing now, and we'll get them answered. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce your host, Joseph Ennis, who is currently hosting for us in Croatia, and with a bunch of fellow members. And how are things going there, Joseph?
You know what? This trip is absolutely fantastic. We're having the best time. The Adriatic Queen, the yacht is absolutely beautiful, luxurious. Everyone is spoiled and feels just like regal. It really is a
Oh, that's
fantastic
good.
trip. It is very good. I feel
That's
the
good
same
to hear.
way.
That's
So
So Joseph has been hosting with us for almost for well, actually not for that long, since the beginning of the year. I guess you started hosting with us, Joseph, but
yeah,
with a long history of hosting for other companies, but now a devoted wheel and anchor host. Yeah.
yes, absolutely, 100%.
Right on. So Joseph is going to be the one who is taking you around Scandinavia and making sure that the trip goes smoothly. So for those of you who haven't participated in one of our Wheel and Anchor trips before, just want to quickly clarify what Joseph's role is as a host, right? So he's there first and foremost to make sure that all the logistics are taken care of. We put a lot of effort into all the details, all of the arrangements that are made throughout the trip. This, like most of our trips, is curated by us. So there isn't some middleman. We have some partners there, we have guides and so on, but we've selected all of the hotels, the restaurants, everything has been selected by us. So there's a lot of detail that goes into all that effort. And Joseph, Fran said, say hi to Christine.
Yes, I saw
That's a
that.
cryptic message. That's an insider message. So Joseph's there
Yes,
to make sure all of that goes smoothly, and he does that in spades. But he, of course, is not the local guide. So if you have questions about any of the things that you're going to see in Copenhagen or Stockholm or Helsinki or Tallinn, we have local guides in those places, and lovely local guides. And I'll be telling you about some of those guides who have guided with us in the past. And they're the ones that will give you all of the local intel on these amazing Scandinavian Nordic countries. So that's what Joseph's all about. So he and I are going to tell you a little bit about how to get ready for this trip. And I'm going to start off with documents. This is an easy one. I mean, obviously, we're talking about EU countries here, all of them. So as long as you got your passport in hand and as long as it's valid, you're good to go. I mean, you don't really need anything else for this trip. I do always suggest to make a copy of your passport. Personally, I have a copy on my phone, just in, God forbid something should happen to it. Just it makes it a lot easier to be able to show it, and that way, when you go out of the hotel during the day, you can just leave it behind in the hotel safe, somewhere safe. And so that's all you need. I do also suggest that any other critical documents, I think about prescriptions or e-tickets. I mean, again, if you have them on your phone, that is sufficient, but some people feel more comfortable printing them out. And so if that's the case, by all means do that. So anything you think that, oh, it would be handy to have this information. The other one that I always suggest is your passwords for your Google account or your,
Mhm.
whatever email account. Like if you, because, again, something happens and you somehow go offline, and I've seen it happen all the time on trips. All of a sudden it's like, oh, I've logged out of my email account. Well, do you have your Gmail password? No, I left it at home. Well, then you're SOL. So I think it's a good idea to take a copy of your passwords from any of your critical email accounts and so on and so forth. But that's otherwise it as far as documentation is concerned. You really don't need anything. Um, Joseph, let's talk a little bit about hacking. Um, so maybe you want to say a few words. I'll chime in as well with the things that one might need for a trip like this.
Absolutely. So it's late spring, early summer, of course. So you're going to expect warm temperatures, cool temperatures, possible rain. It's a mixed bag for sure. So come prepared as possible. The best thing in the world is to dress in light layers. Pack comfortable walking shoes, which I think is really almost the number one most important piece of equipment to have on your body for sure. Bring a waterproof jacket, compact umbrella. When the sun comes out this time of year, it can get very warm. And also take into consideration that some days are quite cool. If you plan
Because
on
you're going to be out on the
hiking or
water for
boating,
some days. Yeah.
well, yeah, exactly. You could be hiking or boating or, whatever the case may be. Just be prepared. And layers is the best way to do that. And although you might get some rain, the chances are it's going to be a very beautiful trip. There is a bit of smart casual dress, as we call it, for welcome dinner and farewell dinner. But generally, our trips are very casual, very comfortable, and yeah, easygoing. So when we
Easy
say smart
going.
casual, yeah, we're not talking suit and tie or jacket. Just I call it casual eclectic elegance, which people seem to like. So it's a
Yeah.
mixed bag.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So don't forget your sunglasses and your things. I mean, we think,
Yeah.
northern countries, but the sun is out and it's out for long, which is
Hmm.
my sort of thing that I always, suggest to consider bringing along is an eye mask. For sleeping, because keep in mind that in Sweden and in Denmark, well, particularly in Sweden, the sun is going to rise at 3:30 in the morning, okay, and it's not going to set till 10 o'clock at night. So particularly for, if you're one of those people that, like me, it's like, oh, the sun blasts through the window at well, 3:30 in the morning. Yeah. I mean, sure, you've got curtains in the room, but I like darkness. So, an eye mask might be a useful tool. And I always suggest as well earplugs. I mean, none of the hotels we're staying in are particularly loud, but at the same time, they are centrally located. The square in Copenhagen, right downtown on the main city hall square, and is the hotel. I mean, they're all very centrally located, which means even though they're well insulated and all the rest of it, again, if you're somebody that's like, oh, you're not used to staying in a city center, so just take that under advisement if you are somebody that sort of needs those things. Then it's not a bad idea. A day pack. To be able to lug stuff around, you are going to get, by the way, a water bottle from us. So everybody's going to get a water bottle from us. In fact, I've just facilitated them getting sent along. So Joseph will hand those out to you at the hotel when you arrive in Copenhagen. So that's a good idea. The water is absolutely drinkable in all these countries. I mean, it's, again, this is Scandinavia, the most civilized countries in the world. So you can drink the water out of the taps. In fact, it's in most cases better than the stuff in the bottles. And then we have water bottles for you to bring bottles along. The electrical adapters, so it's 220 volts like everywhere else in Europe. So it's the two round prongs. So make sure you bring one of those, particularly for charging your phone or camera if you have a separate camera, or any other electronic device. If you have anything weird, I shouldn't say weird. It might not be weird it might be weird for me, but it might not be for you. But I mean, there are some curling irons, for example, or devices with heating elements in them that only work on single voltage. Somebody was saying the Dyson hair curling or whatever they are, apparently only work on 110 volts. So just be mindful of that. If it's not an electronic device, there's a chance it might only take 110 volts, so voltage from home. In which case, if you wanted to bring it, you'd have to bring a voltage converter, which is a heavier transformer type thing. Honestly, in that case, I would leave it at home. I mean, all the hotels are going to have, hair dryers and stuff available. When in doubt, you can always drop a message to Joseph, and he'll tell you about Telegram in a second, or to us to clarify what's needed as far as that's concerned. As Joseph said, the weather at Scandinavia can be all over the place. I'm in Estonia, which is the last stop at the moment, and we've had quite chilly weather. It's been single digits, even though it's mid May. I was here this time last year, and it was in the 20s. You could get anything. Odds are it's going to be in the high teens, but it'll be cooler in the evening when the sun eventually goes down, which again is at 10 o'clock at night in Sweden and at 11 o'clock in Helsinki. There's a 1 hour time difference between Copenhagen, between Denmark, Sweden, and Helsinki. So, you're going to be out on a boat, for example, in the Swedish archipelago, as well as on deck of the ferry that's going to take you from Stockholm to Helsinki. At night on the boat, it's going to be cool on the Baltic Sea, and it's nice to be outside. Being out on deck while you're steaming through the Stockholm archipelago on the way to Helsinki, it's magnificent. So, but it could be cool. So, yeah, I think that covers most of what's important to know as far as packing is concerned. Money, Joseph, back to you.
Yeah, so credit cards, of course, are welcome, and obviously cash. We're dealing with different countries and different denominations. We highly recommend a Wise card. It's fantastic. It's very easy. You get the best rates for exchanges. It's a preloaded Visa card, so it's used anywhere the Visa is accepted. Something definitely to look into, and I recommend. And all of our guests so far that use it absolutely love it.
Yeah, the
Simplest
Wise
way.
card is terrific. I mean, I use
Yeah.
it exclusively when I'm outside of Canada. It's really a great thing to have. The instructions are there on how to get one. There's still time. You can get a digital one. So like literally, I never even use the card. I have it on my wallet on my phone. There it is there.
Mhm.
So you can tap
Yeah.
it just like you would any of your other credit cards. Super, super handy. And you load it up and you get the best exchange rates with the Wise. So we do sort of suggest that. But otherwise, talking about money, there are different currencies here. In Denmark, they use the kroner. They do in Sweden as well, but they're not the same kroner. They're different kroner. The exchange rates are slightly different. Um, but honestly, in Europe and particularly in Scandinavia, cards are accepted everywhere. Like literally, even the public toilets take cards. So you don't really need much cash. I mean, by all means, if you feel the need, take some out. But you don't really need much cash here. Like again, I'm in Estonia, and I just about never pay in cash for anything because it's never used. Maybe the occasional market or something like that. And then if so, ATMs are everywhere. I mean, they're as ubiquitous as they are at home. So money is easy in this day and age. Use your credit card, use your debit card, use a Wise card, use any kind of card. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting a whole bunch of cash, and certainly don't get any in advance because that's just going to be a nightmare. Or you're going to
Mhm.
pay through the nose to get it at home. Um, Perfect. Gratuities. So this is a good point. Tipping. So tipping is interesting because in this part of the world, tipping it's certainly nothing like in North America. There's no expectation of 15 or 20 or God knows what percent is asked for at home. Tipping is very modest. And in fact, I would say in Sweden, it's of course they'll take a tip, but it's not expected at all. So tipping is very modest. You round up a small amount on top of the bill in a restaurant where there's service. You won't need to tip in coffee shops and all those places at home where they now expect you to tip. That's just doesn't happen. But also check the bill because in touristic areas in the Gamla Stan, the old town of Stockholm, or in Helsinki, the old town, sometimes they will even add a service charge. This kind of tendency is starting to become a thing in Scandinavia, but for the most part, it's um, people are relatively well paid in the industry. So yeah, so you don't have to worry too much about tips. Now, all of the trip tips that you would pay to the driver, the guides, this kind of thing, Joseph will take care of that. You've already paid for that. It's part of the trip. It's part of the what we organize. So all that stuff is taken care of. You don't have to worry about those kind of tips. So the only thing is when you're out on your own having dinner, then again, it's a very modest roundup to the bill if you got great service. But if you didn't tip, and if you didn't feel like the service that you got deserved a tip, you don't need to tip, and nobody is going to bat an eye. It's a lot of people in this part of the world don't tip. Okay, let's move along. Joe, I'll defer to you again. Just talk a little bit about SIM cards and the need for Telegram.
Yeah, so Telegram is our platform of communication, which is very important, especially when we're on the trip. So it allows me to be able to stay in contact with you when you're out on your own. If anything should go wrong, anything at all, it's just best to stay totally informed.
Mm,
So we will be setting up a channel
mm,
and a chat. It's a one-way message for me of the channel, let you know what's going on every day. The chat is for each of you to talk to each other and share adventures and stories. Um, and I will be reaching out to each of you and connecting with you on Telegram before the trip begins. My trip handle is, or sorry, my Telegram handle is at Traveler Joe NB, and I will send that out to you again once after this uh,
or you could
webinar.
just type
So
it in the chat and just, yeah. It's in any event, it's in your pre-trip information document,
I got it.
Joseph's Telegram handle, as well as the instructions to set it up. And I think the most important thing is please set it up. If you haven't used it before, if you've traveled with us before, you will have used Telegram before because this is something we do on all of our trips. It's super handy. We use Telegram because it is different. Most people are used to using WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or iMessage. We use Telegram because it's different from all of those, which means you can use it for the trip, and then if you can delete it and be none the wiser after the trip. I mean, what ends up happening on a lot of our trips is people continue to talk in their Telegram groups from the whatever trip they were on long after the trip is over. But
Yes.
you could, if you don't want to do that, if you want to participate, you delete the app and the whole thing is gone, and it's very private. That's why we like Telegram. That's why we like Telegram. Um,
Yeah.
so in order to use Telegram, you need to bring your phone. So point
Mhm.
number one is that please bring your phone. I think in this day and age, everybody brings their phone anyway because for most of us, it's also our camera. Um, so please bring your phone. Then when you bring your phone, you have a couple of different options. Number one, you Wi-Fi is available everywhere. Like certainly every hotel, pretty much every restaurant, every cafe, like Wi-Fi is everywhere. You could get by with just on Wi-Fi, leaving your phone on airplane mode, and then just turning the Wi-Fi on so that you're not using cellular data from home. So that's option one, which is the least expensive option. Option two, the most expensive option, is to use your mobile roaming plan from home. They call it, I think Rogers calls it Roam Like Home or whatever
Yeah.
the terminology is. Works great, very expensive. It's about $17 a day. So I personally don't recommend that. Um, what I recommend is the third option, which is to buy a physical SIM card, which is this little plastic thing here that you see on the slide when you arrive. And because all these countries are part of the EU, you can get one SIM card and it'll work in all countries. You can buy one when you arrive in Denmark, and just buy one for, typically comes in 30-day increments. If you get like 5 GB, might cost you $20. It'll cost you a little bit more than one day of roaming in Canada.
Mhm.
And the fourth option is if you have a fairly new phone that's made in the last couple of years, it may be eSIM eligible, which is the same thing as this, except it's a digital SIM card, and you can pre-purchase one from a whole range of different providers. We don't recommend any particular one, only because we're all still trying them out. I know that a lot of
Mhm.
our members use Airolo, Airolo, and use it with some success. So that is an option. But again, we don't recommend any one particular one, only because there are tons and most of them work. Some of them are trickier to set up than others, but that's another option. So those are your options for bringing your phone if you want to stay online all the time. And let's face it, it's handy because we have free time built into these trips, so you can wander around Copenhagen and Stockholm and Helsinki and Tallinn. And although in these countries you'll find a lot, everybody speaks English, so it's not a problem to get around. But using Google Maps and to be able to stay in touch with Joseph or your fellow travel companions, it's pretty handy to be online at all times. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, again, let us know. Okay, health and safety. Just a couple of quick points I want to make here. Number one is if during the trip you feel at all unwell, particularly if you have a cough or a sneeze, if you develop that during the trip, please wear a mask. I think it goes without saying nowadays. There's still God knows what going around. We certainly all have been in the situation where you've been, sitting next to somebody in public transit or on an airplane that's, coughing up a lung. It's just not a pleasant experience. So we want it for the benefit of your fellow members. We just ask that if you're feeling unwell to wear a mask. And to let Joseph know, similarly, if you should at all injure yourself on the trip, then let Joseph know right away. Let's say you stub your toe or something like that, or you get a little cut or whatever it is, no matter how minor it is, please let Joseph know. We'll assess if you should maybe see a clinic or something like that. Why we want you to return home in the same shape that we got you in the first place, and just to be doubly sure that there's no, we've had the situation before where somebody got just a little sprain, and the next thing you know, oh man, they broke their finger and didn't find out till a month later. We just want to avoid those kind of situations because of the ramifications afterwards. Um, and yeah, the only other thing I want to say is we're non-smoking, and as is most of Scandinavia. I mean, you'll find smokers here and there, but not many. So, but just in the context of the activities that we undertake together on our trips, just please, if you are a smoker, please don't smoke around other members. And I think that's it for health protocols, Joe. So if did I miss anything?
Mhm. Just wearing some masks just in case you do develop a cough or something. It's just
Yeah.
when you're around other people, it's just a nice, respectful thing to do is to wear a mask.
Is to wear the mask, absolutely. And
Mhm.
and I know, some folks on our trips bring along their little medical kit of this, that, and the other thing. I mean,
Mhm.
you can get everything under the sun in these countries. So and again, everybody speaks English, so it's not that big of a deal. But make sure you have an adequate supply of your prescriptions. I remember a situation where I was with a woman who had lost her purse in the airport in Frankfurt on the way to wherever we were going, Norway or something at the time. And we were trying, she had some critical prescription medication in her purse, and we were trying to get that filled at a hospital in Norway. Yeah, that was not fun because they just wouldn't do it. And she didn't have any other copies of anything. And so, yeah. So anything that you critically need, have a copy of your prescription, have it on your phone, have it there, keep it in your pocket. That maybe goes without saying, but when we're traveling, sometimes we don't think about those things. Okay,
Mhm.
let's jump onto the itinerary. I'm not going to go through great detail, but I do want to tell you a few highlights, and I want to tell you a few things to think about in preparation for your trip so that you get the most out of it. Again, I love these countries. I love these cities. Um, you're going to arrive into Copenhagen. Some of you will be on the nonstop flight from Toronto. Others will be transiting via whatever, either through Frankfurt or Amsterdam, or or you're transferring in Toronto onto the nonstop from on Air Canada. Um, if you are not on the flight that you're scheduled to arrive on into Copenhagen, please make sure you send Joseph a message by Telegram letting him know, hey, I missed the connection. I'm not going to be on the flight, so that we can make sure that the driver is informed and that nobody's hunting for you at the airport when you're not on the flight. Similarly, when you're rebooked, that again, we can hopefully make arrangements, well, not hopefully, but so we can make arrangements to get you picked up when you do arrive into Copenhagen. Uh, so you'll arrive in, and you'll be met in the airport. It's a beautiful airport in Copenhagen. I like it. It's all wood, all hardwood floors throughout the whole airport. Oh, it's one of my favorite airports. It really is lovely, and you'll be met there, and you'll be uh, the driver. There'll be a lot of people there. It's quite a hub, so it's a busy place. Be patient looking for your driver. Normally, he's right, or he or she is right there. And but if you don't find them immediately, just look around for a bit. And if you run into any troubles again, that's where jump on Telegram, send Joseph a message, and he'll make sure to connect with your driver. It's not far. The airport in Copenhagen is very close to downtown. So they'll whisk you downtown in about 15 minutes. And as I say, you're going to be staying right in the heart of the city. So I'll just quickly go through, oops, sorry, screen
Mm.
slides are bouncing around here. Your itinerary for this trip. Obviously, you're starting off with the first days in Copenhagen. You're going to get up a little bit along the peninsula here to see Helsingør, which is where Kronborg Castle is, magnificent. Um, After your time in Copenhagen, you're going to go overland by train, covering all the way through the Swedish, southern Sweden, through the countryside up to Stockholm. You're going to be spending a few nights in Stockholm, and you're going to be doing an adventure out by ferry out to Sandhamn, which is one of the outermost islands in the archipelago. You're then going to take the overnight ferry from Stockholm up to Helsinki, and then you're going to spend a few nights in Helsinki. And finally, for those continuing on the extension program, you're going to cross the little gulf here over to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, for the last few nights of this Scandinavian adventure. So, as I say, I just want to make a few notes about the trip. In Copenhagen, obviously, again, you're staying right in the heart of the city on the city hall square. It's a very walkable city. There's a lot of bicycles in Copenhagen. If you're feeling adventurous, rent a bike. There's more people ride their bikes, like commute on bicycles in Copenhagen, even than in Amsterdam. So it's quite an amazing sight. It's also, if you're feeling a bit adventurous, you can easily rent a bike, and cruise around the city in your free time. It's everything is very civilized and organized and all the rest of it. You're going to see all the key sites, but there's lots of time, particularly to stroll up the Strøget, which is the big long pedestrian street in the middle of Copenhagen. I'm going to say this about all the cities. Make sure that you do a little bit of Googling. What is there to do in Copenhagen? Get some ideas for how to use your free time. If you're into beer, you might want to go and visit the Tuborg Brewery as an example. You might want to do a tour if you're into royalty and so on. Do a tour inside Amalienborg Castle where the royal family lives. There's some fascinating exhibits in these places. And you'll find that if anything is that the time goes really quickly. You might just want to hang out at one of the cafes on Nyhavn, which is the picture that we see here. This is one of the most famous areas for outdoor eating. Very popular at this time of the year at what they call midsummer, when we have the summer equinox. Just taking a stroll. I think we've got a canal cruise included here as well. So you'll go out through all the canals. It's a very water-oriented city. Copenhagen is great. You're also going to head up for a day to Helsingør, as I mentioned, where there's Kronborg Castle. Um, and so the tour only takes about the morning, and then the tickets that you have will be for an open return. You can come back anytime. So you may want to stroll around there. It's sort of a quaint little town, and then you can come back at any time. The trains go like every 15 minutes, back and forth. You'll also enjoy Tivoli Gardens, which is their version of the exhibition, like the PNE or the CNE. It's a much more mini version, and it's I think a lot more civilized. It's really lovely in Copenhagen. Um, you're then going to be going by train up to Stockholm. So we have transfers by train, by ferry. So consider that when you're packing, that your luggage is easily manageable. Don't take anything too huge. It should be rollable for sure, so you can move it around the airport, you can move it around the railway station and to the ferry terminal and on and off and all the rest of it. So you have to manage your bag quite a bit. There's no huge long distances, but making sure that it's manageable is really, really important. On your way to Stockholm, at the moment, the high speed rails between Copenhagen and Stockholm, the nonstop trains aren't operating because they actually don't have enough personnel, is what the situation is. So We actually have to make a short hop on a commuter train from Copenhagen up to Malmö, which is just on the other side of the Øresund Bridge, this beautiful modern bridge that crosses the Danish Straits from Denmark to Sweden. And then you'll change trains for the rest of the journey, 4.5 hours up to Stockholm from there. You're going to be staying. This picture here is from Gamlestan. This is the old town of Stockholm. You're not staying far away from here, just near the railway station. It's about not even a kilometer up to the left of where this picture is taken at. Um, and again, a very walkable city. All this area around here, this island that you're going to visit, where the Vasa Museum is, this massive ancient ship from I think the 16th century, one of the oldest preserved ships that exists. You get to see that. It's a wonderful, wonderful city for walking around. And so your guide in Stockholm is going to be Mikael. He's a lovely chap. We've worked with him before, and he's very humorous, and he's going to show you a lot of the sort of insider secrets as well of Stockholm. You're going to get a chance. You're going to go out by ferry to the Sandhamn archipelago, which is one of the far reaches, and the whole area that you'll pass through. It looks like cottage country in the interior of BC or in central Ontario. It's beautiful countryside. If the weather is nice, projected to be nice, you might want to pack a swimsuit because when you get to Sandhamn, you've got a couple of hours. You can walk to the other side of the island. It's like 10 minutes or maybe 12. And there's a beautiful sandy beach on the Baltic Sea. The Baltic Sea is still chilly. It never gets that warm, but to go for a swim it's just a nice experience. So
Mhm.
just a little tip. Bring your swimsuit along if the weather is going to be nice for the trip out to Sandhamn. Um, you're then going to hop on the ferry, and in fact, the ferry is this one here that's pictured in red in the middle. If you can see my cursor, this is the Viking Line, MS Gabriella, one of the ships that goes between Stockholm and Helsinki. So there, you're going to get a taxi transfer out to the ferry pier in the afternoon of June the 18th, and you're going to board your ferry, which will leave about 4 p.m. And it'll take you overnight, arriving in Helsinki the next day. Once again, there's dinner on board the ferry. These are like mini cruise ships, right? They're huge. They take 1,000 passengers. They've got restaurants on board. You've got a buffet dinner on board. There's entertainment, there's casinos, there's all kinds of stuff. But honestly, for the first few hours of the trip, the most exciting thing to do is be on deck. And again, you'll see a whole other aspect of the Stockholm archipelago. Beautiful. In the middle of the night, you're going to stop at an island called Mariehamn. You'll probably be asleep at that point. But this is a Finnish set of islands that's in between Stockholm and Finland in the middle of the Bothnian Sea, or otherwise known as the Baltic Sea. You'll arrive into Helsinki first thing the next morning. You're going to be met there, I think, by our local guide and taken to the hotel again, smack dab in the middle of Helsinki. And you're going to immediately head out for a walking tour. Most of the sites in Helsinki, again, available on foot. My favorite thing to see in Helsinki, believe this or not, is the library. The library there,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, this is the library of all libraries. I'm not even going to tell you anything more about it. It's like 10 minutes walk from your hotel. It's so cool. You're going to love it. Anyway, there's lots going on there. Your guide there is going to be either Kari or Felipe. Felipe is an immigrant to Helsinki. He's hilarious. We had them both on our last trip through here, and they're really lovely, lovely folks. Um, the most important thing about Helsinki is that you're going to be there for midsummer, and midsummer is a big holiday in Scandinavia. This is summer equinox, the longest day of the year. So the night of the June 20th, the whole day we've got it. We're taking you on the Sky Wheel, which is not pictured here. It's a big Ferris wheel with champagne served on board. Beautiful view overlooking the harbor and the islands around. And then we're going to take you out to Surisari Island, which is where a lot of the Finns, a lot of the Helsinkiers head for midsummer. And we're just going to take you for sort of the early part of the evening. They'll be there partying all night long. Like they go nuts on midsummer. So just to be aware, the festivities will last all night long. Night not being very long because, as I said, the sun sets at 10, 11 o'clock at night and it rises again at 4:30 in the morning in Helsinki during midsummer. So it's quite a sight to be wandering around the streets in the middle of the night and it's still light outside. And finally, yeah, you're gonna have a little trip to Porvoo, which is a quaint little town about an hour away with a steamship ride back to Helsinki in the afternoon. So many things. It's just such a lovely trip. For those continuing on to the last bit, you're going to leave from Helsinki and take the ferry across the strait over to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. I'm sitting in Estonia, about an hour and a half south of Tallinn, right as we speak. This is a lovely town. It's like a smaller version of Helsinki, charming, a lovely old town that's up on a hill. Again, you're going to be staying right in the thick of things. And one of the highlights on this is you're going to be heading out to a national park to visit a bog, a swamp. I remember the first time I came to Estonia and I'm like, what the hell are we doing visiting a swamp? Like 50% of the countryside in Estonia is bogland. And then they're going to say you should go for a swim in a bog, which of course I thought they were nuts. This is an absolute pastime and it is a must do. So please bring your swimsuit, be prepared to swim in the bog. It's an experience like no other. I promise you, you're going to love it. Um, and otherwise you're going to you'll learn a little bit about the history of Estonia and its history as obviously a former Soviet state and how it's evolved to one of the most modern countries. Uh, anyway, I don't want to say too much. I wanted you to be surprised and really impressed by this country and this city, because I feel like when I go back home to Canada that we're 100 years behind the time compared to how this country has evolved technologically. It's amazing. So you'll learn about all that stuff. I don't want to talk anymore. I want you to just experience it all for yourselves when you get there. But I wanted to share with you a few highlights. So are there any questions? I didn't even check. I've been talking for 37 minutes straight here. Um, any other questions? Okay, so any other questions going once, going twice? If you have any questions, and of course, you'll probably think of one just after this webinar is over, you have, please, various options. You can email Melody in our office. If you haven't met Melody before, she is the person now who provides support for Paula and also deals with air tickets and insurance and general questions and pre and post nights. So if you have a question, you can drop Melody a note or just send a note to Joseph on Telegram. If you
Yes,
haven't already, reach out, say hello. Joseph, have you been in touch with anybody from this trip so far?
not as of yet, but we'll do that this week for sure.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, sent a message to Joseph, get it set up, send him a note, and he'll be following up with you if he hasn't heard from you by a week before the trip.
Yeah.
And Yeah, make sure you're connected that way. I will not be in Estonia anymore by the time you're here. I'm leaving here on the weekend. I'll be back in Canada while you're in Estonia, I think. Yeah, pretty much. So I'll be missing you guys, but have a wonderful time. Thoroughly enjoy this part of the world. Do your homework and make sure you get the most out of these amazing cities and towns that you're going to be visiting.
Mhm.
Okay. So thanks to everyone. Joseph, thank you for tuning in from Croatia and all the best on
Thank
your
you.
continued travels there.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
again, thanks to everybody for joining me today. And I hope to meet some of you, perhaps at one of our social events. I realize you're coming back after our social events in Ontario, but perhaps those of you from out west will catch up to you at one of those events in July. All right, everybody, take care again, and we will and happy travels in the meantime.